What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily. Dude, I did it again.
Oh,
it's 2 days in a row. What's up, everybody? Oh, it's not flipping over today, Scott. What's up, everybody? Welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Mosley. That is Scott Savage. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, welcome back. Dude, it kind of feels like it should be a Monday.
Yeah, we almost didn't make it out of the black screen.
Man, I don't know what's going on the last couple of days. Just not want to flip over. Steve, we need you, buddy. We need you. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. Dude, we got a good show today coming up. PlayStation looks to sell 14 million PS5s by the end of March. Battlefield's on for a short film, and Valve gave permission to a fan to create a remake of Half-Life 2. Never thought I would see that day, buddy. That's awesome to see that. So, well, let's get into it. You ready to get going or what?
Oh, yeah, let's get it started.
But before we do, though, you should be joining us live, just like Northern Nerdcast is, over on twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube. And if you can't join us live, that means you need to check us out later inside thegame.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, let's get into it, as Sony has revealed one way it's hoping to meet the immense demand for PS5. As part of a post-earnings call with investors discussing Sony's financial results for the first quarter of 2021, the company shared an interesting detail about its PS5 manufacturing process. Ready? CFO Hiroki Totoki was asked about semiconductor shortages affecting PS5 manufacturing, as well as most other industries that rely on chips. Totoki revealed that Sony has secured enough chips to meet its sales target for PS5 for the rest of the fiscal year. Sony plans to ship more than 8 million end of the fiscal year, which wraps up in the end of March. In other words, the company has the main component it needs to manufacture the Sony recently announced that it's going to spend $1 million PS5 phones. This will bring up to and for the first 3 months, June 30th, 2021, that's the sound of the 10%, bringing going in bang bang.
Number, but just look at all these sales, multiply that by, over $500. It seems like Xbox. We need a new program now.
We need to pull in Steve. Can you hear us now, guys? How about now? Check that now.
Yeah, okay.
That's better, eh? Oh, all right. Well, Scott, apparently we're going to kick the show off again here in 2 more minutes. Let me just fix a couple other things. You know what happens? I missed hiding one of the things here. Welcome to the world of Twitch and OBS. All right, looks like everything's back in working order. You guys can hear us now? Are we good now? Man, all right. Well, hang on 1 second, Scott, and we're going to kick it off from the top. In that case, cheers, buddy. Huh. This is going to be one of those days. Ready?
Yep.
All right, we're going to kick it over here. We're going to do this. And we're going to go like this. I wonder if they got the intro. Doesn't matter, because I'm starting all over again, because that's what I want to do, and that's how we're going to run it today. What's up, everybody? Welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew. That's Scott. You can find me over on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one and only place you can find Scott at Savage. Scott, are we ready for this again today?
Yeah, let's try a second time. I think we got it this time.
Oh man, one of these days, Steve, you need to be on the show here, dude. We need to get you working the corners behind the scenes and all that kind of good stuff because we miss you doing that. Definitely save us a headache. But if you can join us live, just like Northern Nerdcast and Flooded Studios is right now, over on twitch.tv/the official ITG, as well as YouTube. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca, podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, let's get back to the top. Buddy has 14 million PS5's are on the way. Battlefield short film is in the works, and Valve gives permission to one lucky fan to remake Half-Life 2. Didn't
That's
see that
some
one
cool
coming.
topics. I like this.
Yeah, I did not see that one coming, man. I thought, Valve is a very they watch their IPs, right? So this means this got to be good. But let's get into it right now with the PS5 watch update. Sony has revealed one way it's hoping to meet the immense demand for PS5. As part of a post-earnings call with investors discussing Sony's financial results for the first quarter of 2021, the company shared an interesting detail about its PS5 manufacturing process. CFO Hiroki Totoki was asked about semiconductor shortages affecting PS5 manufacturing, as well as most of the other industries that rely on the chips. Totoki revealed that Sony has secured enough chips to meet its sales target for PS5 for the rest of the fiscal year. Sony plans to ship more than 14.8 million PS5 consoles by the end of the fiscal year, which wraps up in March. In other words, the company has the main component it needs to manufacture that many consoles. Sony recently announced having sold 10 million PS5 consoles since launch. This will bring them up in March to almost 25 million consoles, Scott. Woo, buddy.
That's if they sell off the shelves, but as far as we know so far, judging by current trends, they will sell off the shelves.
Absolutely. Yeah, they said by the end of June 2021, this year alone, the company's game and network service division, which encompasses PlayStation, reported sales of $5.6 billion year on year, an increase of 10% in hardware sales. Dude, that is a ton of money.
Oh yes, they're absolutely swimming in that income, and for good reason.
Oh, absolutely, right. I think that's good to hear. It's it's nice to hear that they're figuring out what they need to do to get these PS5s out into the wild, because people are starving for them right now, and they're falling up short, which is unfortunate, right? But we see the shortage in the semiconductor affecting everybody. Xbox is included in that list of game companies and things like that. So if we can get more, dude, this is going to bring them up to 25 million consoles by March. Whew.
Oh, I have a sound intrusion.
What is going on today?
I'm next to a highway.
Oh, it's you. That's fair. Scott, let's get into one of your favorite things. Why don't you take this one, actually?
Yeah, I could do that. This is the Battlefield short film Exodus has been announced, and that is supposed to premiere on August 12th. I like the sounds of that.
I thought so.
DICE and EA are building on the Battlefield 2042 marketing, as a standalone Battlefield short film titled Exodus has now been announced. EA adds, witness the locations of Battlefield 2042 through the eyes of an embedded journalist, Kayvan Bashir, starting tomorrow till August 12th. Okay. Well, it doesn't seem like we'll get any new gameplay footage. There is a chance that more gameplay info will be revealed, or at least some of the stuff we can expect in the game will be shown. This is interesting. I like these kind of multifaceted marketing strategies, and I would not have guessed a short film under Battlefield, but I like the sounds of that. I think it could be really done. Wow.
I think it's an interesting marketing ploy that they're working here towards Battlefront. I think obviously EA is banking on the fact that Battlefront needs to really, really do well. And I'm happy and excited to see that they're actually investing in marketing to help push this game out there. We've seen other Battlefield games just kind of come and go, Scott, where this one, it seems like they're really paying attention to the details and how to entice fans. Because, dude, the minute I saw this, I'm like, oh, this is a Scott article right through and through. So I gotta think a lot of people are pretty pumped about this one, man.
I think they're taking extra care with this one just because of I don't think 5 was very well received.
Yeah, sure.
It definitely did sell to some capacity, but the longtime fans of the series just rejected it.
Sure.
So I think they're just being extra careful and kind of trying to bring that crowd back in.
And I think it's working, right? If they can lead up to the launch of the game and just give us little snippets. The problem is you sit on two sides of it, right? If you just keep going with too much and too much, you kind of reach a point where people just want to go on blackout and they don't want to see anything from the game at all. But if you can entice them enough just with little snippets, it kind of keeps that hype around, right? But how long do you keep going before you burn out that hype?
Yeah, well, they can't give anything serious away. Like, what if
No.
the Master Chief is part of it or something?
Yeah.
That's something I want to find out after release.
Exactly. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think they're doing well so far. EA is really paying attention and put their ears to the ground and giving, I think, fans just enough to entice them to kind of have them kicking around a little bit longer and waiting for the final release, which is coming in this fall, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into something I didn't expect Valve would consider at all. Fan-made Half-Life 2 Remastered Collection is on the way with Valve's consent. Man, nicely done. Half-Life is an iconic franchise by Valve that changed the face of gaming for the better when it was first released. Because of that, this series has seen many fan iterations and continuations in the past, but it looks like a Half-Life 2 Remastered Collection is in the works. Before you get too excited, this is a fan-made project and not an official remaster, but Valve is reportedly totally cool with it. Man, like, dude, that is awesome to hear, Scott. Everybody's thriving. They wanted Half-Life 3. We got Half-Life Alyx, which, if you don't know, is an incredible VR experience, but it's still not the Half-Life 3 that people were looking for.
Yeah, it kind of tells its own story. It is, of course, related to the events of Half-Life 2, but
Yeah,
it does take place afterwards as well. So it is kind of an interesting space. But everybody for over a decade now has been clamoring for Half-Life 3. Will it ever happen? Is this a recruitment? I have a lot of questions. I wonder if this is just a way to get some fans on the project when it does come time.
well, do you think that we will see a Half-Life 3, Scott? I think that's really comes down to the biggest thing, right? If we have Half-Life Alyx VR, so it's very limited as far as fan player base, right? Because VR is still, I would still consider it to be like a niche little industry, but it is growing. There's no doubt about it. And if you ever have the opportunity to get into VR, oh my goodness, like, you got to try it. It is something else. It's just a different experience, right? But because you get into motion sickness with a lot of these games when VR, and that's the disconnect which brings with VR. But if you give us Half-Life and then Half-Life 2, and now we're talking about a remake, but it's fan based alone. It's not Valve working on the title. Are they busy now working on Half-Life Alyx 2, or are they busy working on Half-Life 3?
Yeah, interesting. It seems like they would be tied up if they're allowing a fan to use their property. That's pretty unheard of, I think. There is, of course, modding communities that have been supported in the past, but not in order to assemble their own release. That's in uncharted territory now.
No, absolutely, right? They're kind of like, I consider Valve to be somewhat like Nintendo, right? They take care of their IPs, they pay attention to them, and they don't want anybody else to really dabble in them unless they really trust them. So I'm now questioning, who is this developer that is on the other side making a fan-serviced game remake, and how much involvement does Valve have in this, right? Are they kind of going, okay, you can do this, this, and this, but yet you cannot do this?
Yeah, you cannot sell it to a publisher to release it on future consoles.
It's on Steam and Steam only? Like, where else would you get this thing?
Yeah, I would expect that to be true, because if they release it in any sort of capacity, it's going to cost a lot of money, and then this guy is making value off of their IP. That gets into a muddy territory that if it were Nintendo in this situation, they'd be calling for this man to be in jail.
Well, exactly, right? Because we've seen other people attempt this kind of scenario in the past and have people shut them down. They're like, you can't do that. That's our IP. You can't work off of this and then bank money off of it, right? There's a whole legal side to this thing that can take place too. But if they're being given the green light by Valve, man, they got to be pretty happy with whoever this person is working on it. It says the report that Valve has given the green light for this project comes by the way of Tyler McVicker, a person known for reporting on Valve's news. So we only have who's covering. We don't even have who's working on it. I'm definitely curious to see who's working on the project and what involvement Valve has attached to this thing. Because you think, Scott, they got to be playing very closely with them. to kind of guide them on what the line they can cross and what lines they can't cross, right?
Yeah, well, they're gonna want to ensure some sort of quality too. If it has the IP, then
Dude, Northern
they're gonna-
Nerdcast says it's actually Blue Box Studios. No.
this project is actually just a solo from Hideo Kojima.
Man. Oh, it's it was funny because I was thinking about them this morning, going, "Well, like their app launched. What happened there? Like I didn't even pay attention. No, I don't. It just fell off, right? Like their app was supposed to be."
No breaking headlines at least.
No, nothing. So yeah, but I'm definitely we will follow this one very closely because I think a lot of people could really go for this Half-Life 2 remastered version because it's going to be I think it's a nice step towards the fan service, and if Valve's letting them do that, man, it's got to be pretty cool to see that happen. But Scott, let's get into what The Outer Worlds is selling. 4 million copies. Congratulations. $4 million made in copies sold for The Outer Worlds, which I have a theory on this, but we'll get to it in a second. As part of a Take-Two earnings call reveal in the Q1 of fiscal 2022, the publisher shared some interesting statistics about games from its various labels, including Private Division, the publisher behind Obsidian's The Outer Worlds, which we all know now, Obsidian is now owned by Microsoft. So that jumped ship, right? But it's still there. The game now has sold over 4 million units in lifetime sales. According to the industry analyst Dom on Twitter, it's up 1 million from last quarter. And this is where my theory comes in, Scott, because we just saw a sneak peek at The Outer Worlds 2. So was there a spike with that, right? Because that came at the end of E3. All of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, another one? Boom. A lot of people jump in. You see that a lot, right? All of a sudden, you get into, this is coming. So then you better either go back to finish what you haven't finished on that game, or people that were already interested know, okay, you know what, they're serious. They are going to do something with this franchise or this game. We should go and pick it up and see what it's all about.
Oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense for people to jump in on that. The renewed hype, and 4 million is not a small number. Even if it was 3 million prior to that, it's out there and it's getting a lot of people's hands. So I think this is a successful launch of a series. Outer Worlds 2, of course, will decide that, but
yeah,
it's off to a good start.
It does have its had it glitches, but I hear like the story is really, really good, and there's just a lot of choices. It's kind of that Fallout little feature, right? It's got that touch to it. It is Obsidian, so they know their world around this kind of thing, and they went out and created their own thing with The Outer Worlds, and it seems to be like it's almost kind of like a cult following now at this point, Scott. It's one of those, I don't want to say indie because they're not indie, right? But it's almost like an indie darling in a sense. Some people kind of let it slip under the radar, and I think a lot of people, if you're into those types of games, you should definitely be checking this one out. The label also is working with indie studios on a number of projects, including Kerbal Space Program 2, Roll 7 Ollie Ollie World, and a new project. You ready for this one, Scott? A new project from Ori series developer Moon Studios. Dude, what are they working on? Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps are some of the most beautiful games I've ever played. The art team and the direction they take is fantastic. Dude, it speaks to me completely. So it gets me pumped. But what are they working on now? Moon Studios going into a Ori third title, or are we going to get a completely new game, something fresh and something unexpected?
I would like to see something new, but it's because I'm so far not tied to Ori. I've played it very small amounts, and I appreciate the art style of it more than anything. But
So cool.
I just haven't jumped into that one. It'll be interesting to see if any other project by them is going to have the same artistic value behind it.
No, absolutely. It's very very whimsical in their art direction. I absolutely fell in love with it. Ori is one of my favorite games of all time. Believe it or not, it is fantastic. It is worth everybody to check that game out. It is so cool. It's a platformer. It's tough. There's no doubt about it. I remember in the first one you had this tree you had to get out of, but the water kept coming up. Dude, it took me forever to get through that one. And then the sequel, it had its moments too, man. It's got stepping stones, and it gets you to one level. Okay, everything you just learned, we'll put it to use because here you go. And you're like, oh man, it's so cool though. Absolutely love Ori. So definitely curious to see what Moon Studios is working on next. I don't know if they will venture off from Ori because it's so valued, right? It's such a high IP that people just go, you know who Moon Studio is because of Ori.
Now, let me make the joke I often do. Do you think it could be Ori and the Battle Royale?
No, you're not getting Ori the Battle Royale. Get out of here. That's not gonna happen. But it would be
Unlikely.
nice. No, yeah, I think it's very unlikely at all. But it would be nice to see them work on something else, something unique, something different to the table. Bring something new and fresh, right? You've already done these two IPs or these two games within the series, and it's worked out fantastically well. And now puts you on another level. And Moon Studio now is a well-known name. Let's see what else you can tell as a story, right? And it's man, I'm so excited. I'm curious when that's going to be revealed, though. Because I want to say Ori and the Will of the Wisps came out 2 years ago now.
I think that's
right.
I think that's correct. It must be around 2 years.
Yeah, so they're still in early stages of development. There's nothing going to be coming anytime soon. I think, Scott, we're probably another 2 years before we actually see anything from Moon Studios.
That seems likely, and that would ensure that there's some sort of quality to it as well.
Yeah, I would think so. Scott, let's get into one of our favorite games. Me personally, I've just played it last night, actually. Rainbow Six has an event going on. If you're disappointed with the Rainbow Six Extraction recent delay, you may be interested in this Siege limited time mode. Ubisoft has announced a new limited time event for Rainbow Six Siege, kicking off yesterday. The event will be available until August 24th. The event is dubbed Containment and is taking some inspiration from the co-op focused Rainbow Six Extraction, which recently got pushed back to 2022. We did see the delay of Extraction, but I thought this is a nice little touch going, okay, yeah, we got to push the game, but here, let's give you somewhat of a kind of a feel of what's going on here. So you have these nests you have to, as the defenders, protect, and then you have the other side of it where you got to go in and take them out. Crystal played this last night. She goes, man, this is creepy.
I like the sound of that, but why are the defenders defending an alien incursion? I don't. Well, unless they're compromised themselves.
They are compromised. They're actual aliens themselves. So you have the aliens now protecting your nests, and all you can do is melee. Your health has gone way up, but still you get a headshot. A headshot's a headshot, but you can only use melee. And then on the other side of it, the attackers are still the attackers, and they go in with things like that. So it's we're gonna be playing this tonight on the stream. So everybody come back 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live right here on twitch.tv/theofficial_ITG, checking out the new game mode. We'll give it a go and see if we can survive and protect our own nests. But that's what's happening there. Well, that was cool. And so I like some of these limited events. Some of them are really, really silly. But this one I think is cool, especially on the fact that they had to push Extraction. I thought that was a nice little homage from Ubisoft to say, we understand you're a little disappointed, but here, have a little flavor and taste of a new event. I thought that was really cool.
I'm a little worried if this is actually just them shooting themselves in the foot, though, because there is a lot of hype surrounding Extraction.
Sure.
And it's been teased, and we've known about it for quite some time.
Yeah.
But what if they discover that it could have just been an event in Rainbow Six Siege? That would hurt. That's stifle a lot of people's hype.
Well, okay, so there's a lot of differences between the two, right? The time event is a PvP mode. In Extraction, it's a PvE. It's a story-based co-op game. So this is completely different, right? It just gives us a little flavor of the aliens. We're not going to be playing as the aliens. We don't know all the details, mind you, when it comes to Extraction and what they have planned for the long road, because we've seen a lot, especially in the past, Scott, when you play a co-op game, you finish that co-op game, then what do you do with it? You put it to the side and you move on to something else. Well, we all know is Siege to be like an ongoing, breathing games of service. So what do they do to keep you around then when an Extraction is finished for the campaign co-op experience? Or are we just done? Is this like a one and done kind of thing? Do you think they're going to have some kind of, here's another game mode, here's another event, here's something else to do when Extraction actually launches next year?
I think that might make sense. Or just prior to release, they might try and spike up hype again.
Yeah.
Because now that I'm remembering, actually, they've done some sort of Extraction themed event several years ago now.
Sure.
But I had actually just forgotten about it. So perhaps it won't stifle interest, especially if people play it and then it's gone.
Yeah.
By the time Extraction does come around, you'll either have a hunger for that game type or not.
I think so, right? I know we're all pretty excited. They have some stealth elements too in Extraction, which we were all, I think, all kind of surprised about. Because, yeah, you can be somewhat sneaky in Siege, but it's really about taking out the target as quickly and proficiently as possible. So to sneak up behind and see some melee combat going on with an Extraction is a little bit unique. And now for this timed event, you're actually, as the alien race, you're only melee, right? There are no gunplay with that. But when you're the attacker, you are the gunplay. So it's cool. I'm definitely going to check it out. Well, that's what I said. We're checking it out tonight. Kind of excited, but I'm kind of nervous because I don't like the spookies. So we'll see how.
Yeah, just how creepy is it? We'll find out.
We'll find out tonight. But yeah, Crystal said she was like, the sound effects are really creepy. I was like, oh, why? But speaking of creepy, Scott, Back for Blood beta details are here. A new Back for Blood beta period is on the way for those itching to get into the action. For those that pre-order the game, the first wave of beta access commences on August 5th and will run until the 9th. The open beta will continue on following the early access period from August 12th through the August 16th. Interested players can go and register for the first beta as well, though the entry of the for those dates is not guaranteed. Both beta portions are available on everything: PS5, PS4, Xbox X and S, as well as the Xbox One, as well as PC. Scott, you're excited for this one. Didn't you get a code for this?
I do remember registering for something Back for Blood related, so I have to check my emails, but I don't think I've gotten anything so far.
Nothing
I
yet.
am really hoping that this gets in. Now, just an aside here, because you kind of mentioned it. I was explaining to my brother the Xbox Series S, X. There was an Xbox One. There was an Xbox One X, S. You know, why did they bother naming the console Xbox One if not to follow it up with 2?
Right? It could, you know what? Honestly, Scott, it's worked so long for PlayStation to do the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. We're now into PlayStation 5, right? When you follow the numbered sequence, it just makes it easy. They had the opportunity, Scott, to do just that, and they didn't. Instead, they go, we're going to give you the Xbox One. Now we're going to give you the Xbox One X. Now, because that wasn't confusing enough, we're going to give you the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. It's like, why?
They didn't even use other letters.
No.
What about A through Z?
Man. It's just like they had an opportunity to go from Xbox One to Xbox 2. And they should have went that way, Scott. It would have made, okay, I know what generation we're getting into here with Xbox, right? It would have made a lot of sense. Instead, they just kind of let it go with more X's and X's and I don't know. Like, yeah, no, it does get confusing, and it didn't have to be that way. No one's confused when it comes to PlayStation because you either got 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Pick one, right?
Yeah. Well, perhaps Xbox didn't want to be one number behind PlayStation, but that's still, when you relabeled it Xbox One, that was already kind of admitting that. So yeah, it seems silly.
Yeah, I'm curious what they're gonna do next. What do you think the next Xbox is gonna be called, Scott?
I'm hoping it's just Xbox 2, but judging by the way Battlefield does their naming, it could be the Xbox 5.
It could be. Yeah, who knows? Scott, let's get on to game announcements, updates, and releases for today, buddy.
Yeah, I want to mention this free DLC that's on the way to Zombie Army 4. I'm just going to quickly run through this.
Sure.
The 4-player co-op FPS took the world by storm over a decade ago, that being Left 4 Dead. Now, the gist of this is that the Left 4 Dead characters are available in Zombie Army 4 as a free DLC package. And I think that's really cool because this, of course, teases the release of Back 4 Blood. This kind of gets you into that same action, or at least reminds you of it. And Zombie Army was a solid release. I stand by that. So I think this is a really cool way to get into that and introduce these characters and get excited for Back 4 Blood, which I already am. But that sounds really cool. Free update. Can't complain about that. We do have a full release today. A full release today. And that would be Dungeon Defenders Awakened is now on the Switch.
It's a light day there, buddy. There's no doubt about it. There was not much lingering around whatsoever. But that's going to wrap up today's show. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. And as always, you can join us live over on twitch.tv/theofficialitg, as well as YouTube. But if you can't join us live, that means you need to hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. I'm Drew, that's Scott, and we'll see everybody tomorrow inside the game.